Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Allow me to blow your mind about the language of Danish, okay? You know how you have knives, right? We all like them. We all love them. Now, the thing you put a knife into, I know this is a very poor example of that. You know, a scabbard, a sheath for the knife, right? The thing you put it into. Let's see what, if we ask Google Translate, okay? If you write here, a scabbard, that translate to 𝒮𝔲𝔞𝔤𝔢𝔯𝒮𝔮𝔲𝔞𝔡. And that's true. That is the translation of, that is what the thing you put a knife into is called. But now, let's reverse. Say Danish, English, yes. And let's write 𝒮𝔲𝔞𝔤𝔢𝔮𝔲𝔞𝔡. That's right, guys. In Danish, the thing you put a knife into is the same word as a vagina. Party knife for the win! Didn't see that coming, huh? But anyways, guys, without further...
Adieu.
Yeah, that thing. Without further... That thing. Adieu. No.
Adieu.
Adieu. Without further adieu. Let's get started here. Now, I've prepared a little bit of a video, okay? Where I walk through the map and talk about a bunch of things. Now, just for starters, we're gonna fly through the entire map just really quickly, just to get, you know, an overview of what Dark Omens entails, right? Now, a lot of you guys mentioned when I did the mission tier list that you thought this map was sort of a difficulty level, at least on Kata, above the others I put in the top, right? Other than, of course, Fortunes of War. Now, I still hold by my statement there, which is that I disagree about that. I actually think, like, I understand where you're coming from. In the beginning, I probably felt the same, right when the map came out. But once you understand Dark Omens, then it's really not that much harder, in my opinion, than Engines of War, or Blight Reaper, or I always forget what that map is called, the Enchanter's Lair. There we go. Of course, in quick play, the problem is always, as it is in so many other maps, working together, right? But I think it's a good idea to have a three-dimensional perspective of what this map in particular looks like, and sort of how and where you're moving. Because when you have a better understanding of sort of the geometry of the map, you can better make good decisions, if that makes sense. So that's why we're just doing a quick fly-through. We will be doing more flying and go into like the nitty-gritty details of the whole map, no worries.
The corruptors attempt a ritual. We must hurry.
And we're pretty much at the end now. At the end event. So, starting out,
It's good to walk a while.
I'm just gonna explain why every time I'm attacking, you see this weird geometry shape. That's essentially so I could have an easier time showcasing stuff with bow shots. So that's why you see that. Now, you always start up here, and obviously you jump down. Now, the first thing you should do whenever you play Dark Omens is walk over and open this chest right here. There's usually 2 items, sometimes only 1, but usually 2. Now, even if you're not planning on getting any tomes, I suggest at least one person always moves up here, because there's a potential healing. It's not always there, but there fairly often there's going to be a medkit or a health pot lying right there. So it's worth, you know, you wanna. It's very important on Cataclysm, unless you have a pre-made group, then it's very important that you take finding items seriously. You want as much loot to optimize your chances of, you know, beating the map in difficult situations. Always check behind here, behind this tree. There's almost always an item as well. And further down here, and of course you were looking for the barrel, right? The reason you're looking for the barrel is because although this path is quicker, that is to say moving straight here is faster, you don't want to do that. The reason you want to take the longer and more difficult route is quite simple. There are more items there. And again, so it puts you out on the other side here in a better position to possibly fight the boss. Now, specials here are going to come from up there, and they're going to come from behind, right? So you're usually going to have a couple of those if you're playing kata before you can get the barrel. Put it over here, throw in barrel, and there's a fixed potion spawn here. So even if you're going the other way, for whatever reason, you still want to grab this health pot here. It's always there. It's a guaranteed spawn. And of course you move in here with the team and you start to move up the ladder. But these take too much time. I don't want to waste time, so I fly, okay? Now always check this spot on the right here, just in case you haven't played the map that much. I'll showcase. You move up here and on your right side. Also check the left here. There's no item at the moment, but quite often there's going to be items there. Now right here, you're going to trigger a bunch of specials. And oh yeah, so I think there's sometimes an item there. But there's a bunch of special triggers right when you get here. You're going to get like 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 specials. Like right on top of one another. So you want to be careful when you move in here. Specials are going to drop up from that spot I just showed you. They're also going to drop from here. So those are 2 of the spots you wanna watch. Then once you move here, there's a chest on the right. And a 3rd special spawn location, which is all the way up here. In fact, they drop down from up here. Again, understanding where minions come from in a map is extremely important. Because that means when you know these 3 spots, and of course further ahead in the tunnel, then you know where to look when you hear, especially, you know, oh, if it's not right there, then it's going to come right there, allowing you to make better decisions, if that makes sense. Because they always follow very narrow paths into the map. And most maps are set up like that. Not all, but most maps are set up in a manner where you can very easily isolate. Of course, always do a 360 to impress all your friends when you're jumping over here. And always move into this room here and check the chest. And I think there's like 3 possible item spawns in here. Specials come from up there. Always check up here if there's an item, and always check underneath here as well if there's an item. And then you move ahead here. And now here's one of those weird spots where we have already passed one as well. But one of these spots where if you hear a special right after you drop down here, then it's always going to come from the front. So right here, a special is not going to drop down behind you unless it already spawned before you drop down. Or before your whole team drop down. As soon as you move out here, you get a bunch of special triggers again. Something like 5 specials-ish, right? It varies, of course, but on kata. Now, one of the paths they're going to take is right here. And quite often it's a strangler. So be careful when you move out here. Of course, special can also come from both the right and the left side. But they can also drop down literally where you stand. So watch out for that, okay? Now, let's look. As you can see here, this is sort of a convoluted area of paths, right? And in these situations, just in general, you want to stick to the sides. Because you're the most vulnerable in the center where stuff can come from all sides. By, you know, staying next to walls, you're sort of isolating some of the angles, which gives you sort of a positional advantage, right? Now, one option is to rush to the right and hope you don't get a boss spawn. That's one option. If you don't get a boss spawn before you're up here, then you're not going to get it for this trigger. There are always 3 boss triggers in each map. And this is the area in which you get the first, right? So one option is to rush up right. If you then get the boss, then I suggest immediately moving backwards, like backtracking down to this area here, because this is where you have the most room. This is the sort of largest open area in which you can kite the boss around. So for that reason, it makes the most sense here to sort of fight the boss. Try to kite it in a circle if you can, and possibly, yeah, push it over that ledge right there. Now, the safe path, which is the one I prefer to take most of the time, is to move down to that area regardless of whether or not a boss spawns. Move down to the open area. Oh yeah, wait, first I'm going to show you. I forgot about this. If you want a challenge, there's like a cameo over here. So I don't recall what the challenge actually gives you, but just in case you were looking for that challenge, that's right over there. But yeah, the safe path, which I prefer to take once you get to this area, is down to the left here. and simply up following the left wall here. Then you simply move straight forward here. You check for items on either side. You're usually gonna get a couple of bannermen with you know, all their extra minions, and possibly, as I said, a boss, right? But if you don't get the boss, around here is the final trigger in this area. So the boss should be spawned by the time you're up here. And this is one area you can choose to fight in once shit hits the fan. Because again, you have a wall behind you and can isolate two angles. This is an area you want to stay away from, right? This is a horrible place to get caught in the middle of everything. Stuff can come from all sides. This is another really good spot to fight. Again, because nothing is going to come from your back. Your back is safe from specials, from everything. So those are the areas in which you want to position yourself with your team. Of course, always wait for your teammates before you jump down one of these points of no return. That's very important. And once you get out here, this is another one of those areas where once you get to where I am right now, and assume everyone is there where I am right now from the team, if a special spawns here, which is to say that if you hear an assassin sound now, then there's a 100% guarantee that it's going to come from the front and not the back. Again, this is just something that comes with experience on a map, but try to notice that every special that spawns here, they would never come from the back unless they spawned before you jump down the sort of the point of no return. So when you hear spawns here, they're going to come from the front until you get, roughly speaking, here, around here. Once you get to this area here, there's enough distance behind you that stuff can actually spawn there inside the cave, and yeah, at least that's my my own personal interpretation. Of course, just stop here to, you know, take a quick sneak peek here. It's a beautiful view, you know. It's a great place for screenshot. I mean, just look at that. Just look at that. That's beautiful. Right there. Boom! Thumbnail. Next level thinking. Doing the thumbnail while recording. No, I'm just kidding. Now here's another drop down. So again, wait for your team every time, and I mean every time before you jump down one of these. Now, a bunch of stuff is going to come from both sides, most likely. Assassins are quite often going to come from the right side for whatever reason. Specials prefer to come from the right side here. I don't know why, but at least that's a feeling. I base that off nothing but experience. But this is a good area to fight here. Why? Because you can you can isolate the angle on the right. First of all, you can have, if you know, have your back against the wall, you can see the whole sort of area, right? That's the first reason. And secondly, you sort of have a bit of cover there, and you have the high ground, all of which are important sort of advantages, right? Because when you have high ground, you can go to low ground, but not vice versa. So generally speaking, if you have the choice between high and low, you choose high. Now, once you get to this area, this is the second area where people wipe, the first being the first boss area. This is the second area where people have trouble. Don't jump down there. Usually you're gonna go to the left, but let me just show you a little area here that you want to be very careful with actually doing, especially without your team's sort of consent. I would not suggest just jumping straight over here as soon as you get to the area. That is very dangerous, so don't do that. Once you get here, you want to go to the left here. Stuff is also going to spawn behind you. And this area here is really important. This is an area I want to talk about. Here, you're usually going to fight. You're going to have a wall here, right? Where you know, some of the teammates are going to fight. Now, another teammate should push backwards and start fighting further back. Why? Well, because if you wait until those minions push up all the way behind you, then you're squashing the team together, and suddenly you have minions on both sides that you need to fight. Whereas if you hold a wall here, and you have one or two teammates that move back here and then fight here, then both of you have room to move back on without getting squashed and sort of mingling, you know, interacting with each other's minions. So for that reason, it's a really good idea to have that breathing room when you're clearing stuff out in like tunnel-like sort of scenarios. Now, you want to be very careful with getting away from your team. And of course, take this potion here. There's also another item spawn right down there. But let's say you took this path here, and you get here. There's almost always a bomb there. Almost always a bomb in that chest up here. And let's say you get a Minotaur right here. Now, you can use that to your advantage, right? So let's find a Minotaur here. And of course, it's not going to be this simple necessarily, because there will be other stuff around. It's always easy to give an example in these circumstances.
Bring on the fool.
Wait, I believe.
There's a Minotaur's foul stench on the
Right, but if a Minotaur's here, try to aggro it, and simply, boom, because you have a bomb. There's always a bomb up there. And that's an easy way to kill a Minotaur. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do that every single time, and specials, they're going to come from up there. They're going to come from down there. They're going to come from up there once in a while, and they're also going to come behind you, of course. So those are the 4 sort of areas you want to watch, 5 actually, also over there, that you want to sort of worry about when specials are spawning. Especially the one on the right side here, like up on the cliff, that's the most prevalent. Now, this is why you wanna stay up here, fight for as long as possible, clear out as much as you can, and then you wanna rush down here to this area right here. You don't wanna fight in the middle. You don't wanna get stuck in the middle. In the middle, it's very dangerous because you have 5 angles that can sort of, you know, that can wreck you. Whereas over here, your back is safe. Nothing comes from the back. This is also the area where people revive. If there's a boss wall, a boss you haven't killed, and your teammates die, you can revive them right here. So not only can you keep everything in like a 160-degree view, which makes it way easier to deal with specials, but you also have obstacles to kite bosses around, and it's the location where everyone spawns. So absolutely great area. But people only spawn there if there's a boss wall, otherwise they'll spawn further ahead. So it's only in the case of fighting a boss until you kill the boss. Once the boss is dead, if someone dies or spawns after that, then they're going to spawn further ahead. But until then, as long as one person is alive and can keep reviving people, there's really no excuse for losing here. Obviously, I'm over-exaggerating, but you get the point, Always use barrel plays. Barrel plays are for winners. Everyone knows this. Only winners do barrel plays. And another point of no return. Wait for your team, as always. Now watch out here, because quite often you're gonna get charged by a Beastigore or 4, depending on the difficulty you're playing at. Now I totally did not miss that headshot. There we go. Now this area here, I feel like, I don't know if this is, again, I'm just basing this off my experience, so I don't know if this is actually the case, but I always feel like you're more likely to get Rattling Gunners here. I don't know why, but I genuinely feel that I always get Rattling Gunners here. And holy shit, what the I'm not sure why I took so much damage, but yeah, always check this area up here for potions, because again, there's almost always a pot up here of some sort. Fight here. Don't try to cross until you cleared it out. If there's a horde coming behind you, clear it up from up there first. Wait until everything is clear, and I mean everything, and then you move over, right? Because you don't want a situation where people start falling down and you have to try and get them up, and then you fall down trying to get them up, and then so on and so forth, right? This is a really special cave in that it's one of the few caves in this game where there aren't holes in the ceiling, where minions can just pop down behind you, so that's good to know. Specials, they come from up left here, so watch out for that. And once you jump down here, again, point of no return, wait for your team, there's going to be a bunch of specials. There's a bunch of special traders right when you jump down here, so you're going to fight in this area first. You're going to take it nice and slow, you're going to take the time here to kill stuff behind you, because specials will come, multiple specials, and of course always 360, so you clear out those specials first. Now we're getting to what is, in my opinion, either the hardest area, or at the very least the area where most quick play runs fail. Up there's a bug spot if you're the battle wizard. I didn't say this, but you can get outside the map. I never told you, okay? I didn't show you, but now you know. Now always bring this fire barrel, because it can be really, really valuable. Now this area here is where, I talked about this last time, this is where shit starts to hit the fan, right? because you're in this situation where you really don't want to be in the next part of the map. So you want to fight here. The safe thing to do, especially on Kata, is you stop here, and then you take it nice and slow. You clear it out, and then once it's somewhat clear, then you rush ahead to the next spot. Now, one of the only problems you're going to encounter here are Blightstormers and gas rats, but mostly Blightstormers, because they can really trap you in a horrible way. Try to use the map to your advantage. There's like, for example, one person can bait. Like, what I see really often people forget is that a tornado, or whatever you want to call it, a Blightstorm, it's gonna follow you the same way a minion does. It has minion pathing. Now, if one person has aggro on the thing, you can sort of make room for everyone else to get around and sort of follow the sides, try to jump, and you can sort of quite often, not always, but quite often you can sneak your way around, even in situations where you might think that you couldn't. Now, watch this area here. The reason I'm telling you guys not to fight in this area and rush ahead, just look at this, right? Look at this maze. You don't want to be any of these locations. You don't want to be there. Like, stuff can literally drop down on you from all sides. You can get, like, from 1 second to the next, like, you can be completely clear, and in the next second, you're literally physically trapped inside minions, right? And you can't move. And that's what loses games. So, what you want to do, you want to rush as quickly as possible up to this area here, okay? This is where you want to get to, and then you want to, once you are here, you want to make sure your team can follow you, and then you want to get up here. That is the area right there from which you want to clear. And when you think about it, it's easy to see when you think about it, right? From here, again, you have the wall, you have 2 isolated areas, you have, like, nothing can surprise you when you're up here. Nothing can surprise you. That's the thing. It's absolutely great. Let's say you have a huntsman or a bounty hunter, a squishy character. They can just literally jump up here, get all the way up here, where they have, like, really good vantage points, and can just shoot specials. So yeah, you want to move past this area as quickly as you physically possibly can. Try to make sure your teammates can follow you, but if you have to leave them, then leave them. This is the area you have to leave them in. Like, if there's anywhere you have to leave them, it's here, okay? Rest them further ahead. They're not going to spawn that far away, which is the good part to keep in mind. Now, if you ever get stuck here, okay, because right here, what I've tried many times is that the team is a little bit too slow, right? A little bit too slow. They're moving, but, you know, it's not exactly going fast, right? You get to this area, and this is where you get stuck. Boom. You're no longer stuck. But, like, it's so often that it's right here. You'll get a patrol or, like, a banner right in front of you that'll push you back, and suddenly you're completely surrounded and you're trapped. Now, trust me, that little nudge right there, knowing how to get up there, has saved my life so many times. So many times. Where I would have otherwise gotten stuck there with no way out, right? Because we can't all play Shade or Handmaiden. Now, always check these items here. And, like, I'm just gonna show you real quickly where the Grim is. I forgot to show you guys some of the books. I'm sorry. I actually thought about doing that as well. I skipped some of them. So apologies. But you can look that up yourself if you have to, right? But I'll just show you really quickly how to grab this Grim here. It's right up here and here. Guess I've already shown you 2 tome locations, I think. Did I show you the cave? I think I showed you the cave, right? Anyways. So here, the safest path to move is actually to follow the cliff here, because nothing can come from here. I'm not sure if stuff can jump from over. Now, I'm actually not sure if stuff can jump, because it kind of looked like there was a pathing over there. But let me just show you guys something cool. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but it's like ghost beasties walking around out here in super creepy fashion. Like, how fucking creepy is that? Just thought I would show you guys real quick. This map is just beautiful, can I just say that? This is one of the most beautiful maps in the game, if you ask me. I actually think it's the most beautiful map in the game, in my opinion. Now this is where people spawn, right around here. Sometimes up, sometimes down.
Out of arrows. Stay here.
And yeah, so like literally just follow the left curve all the way around. That is the safest path to take, but make sure you sort of when you then need to deviate from that path because there are items, that's okay. But like stick to the left path, and then you spot an item, you move over, take the item, and you move straight back. That's the safe route, right? I'm not saying you have to do that every single time, especially if you're playing on a difficulty where you're not feeling challenged enough, right? But if you're playing on a difficulty where you're feeling this is hard, that's the path you want to take. That's the strategy you want to implement. And again, specials from up there. Also bannermen from up there.
Down here, are you all blind?
And we have another point of no return. So you wait for your team here. Yes, yes. Now, I think this next area is a lot. Like if you make it this far, then the worst is behind you, most likely. There's one more area that can be tricky. But most likely, it's not going to be. One thing I want to mention is that, you know how so far we've had 3 areas in which you could get a boss, right? And there is a 4th coming up momentarily. But how do I explain it best? Okay, so a great thing to know, just in general, and this applies to all maps, is that you can get a maximum of 2 bosses. Okay, 2 monsters is 2 random monster spawns are the most you can get. That is to say, let's say you are playing against the grain, there's always going to be a fixed monster spawn when you get to the barn. That doesn't count here. That's not counted in this calculation. Now, if you get the first trigger in the map, the first trigger here being the initial area, right after you took the path with the barrel, you explode, you know, after that whole area, you get to the first area, you can get a boss there. If you get that boss, then you know with 100% certainty that in the second area, with that where I did the Minotaur thing, where I pushed the Minotaur down, then you know, guaranteed that Minotaur, no boss is going to spawn there. Because you can't have 2 monster spawns on 2 adjacent triggers. So if you get the first boss, you cannot get the second boss, but you can still get the third boss for a total of 2 bosses. What that also means is that if you don't get the first, but then get the second boss location, that is where the Minotaur is, then you know with certainty, 100%, that you're not going to get the third boss spawn. So that's really useful to know, sort of expectation-wise, because then you know, do I even need to worry about a boss spawning now? Yes or no? So yeah, just thought I would mention that on the side, and that applies to all maps. Now here, I don't really feel like it matters too much. Personally, I prefer going right here. Why do I prefer going right? I feel like you have a better vantage point here, right? Here, you can sort of see stuff, whereas if you go left here, I feel like I'm more restricted somehow. But yeah, again, that could just be preference. It's not so important, this area. But this is the last boss trigger, so like, you can get a boss here, right? And if you do, you need to get, like, either someone needs to take aggro, or you need to get the hell on up here, okay? Because down there, it is possible to rotate, but it's so easy to get stuck. And let me, there we have the ghost beasties again, the ghost beasties. Great looking map. But anyways, you want to get up here, because the easiest rotation is up here. If you look at it from, you know, sort of moved up this area, and you can sort of see here why, you know, this whole enclosed area, that's just not a place you want to fight a boss. So if you get a boss, like, they're not going to spawn in the beginning of this area, but like sort of midway, you can get the boss trigger. But you see this circle here, right? That is what you want to utilize. I cannot overstate the importance of knowing in a map how to move in a circle, in an infinite circle, right? And in the right direction. That's another really important. It's really important whether you go around the circle one way or another. That really makes a huge difference. You want to move in the direction where there are most obstacles, right? Where you have most animations that the boss has to go through in order to slow the boss down and make it easier to kite around. Now, here's also a tome, just so you guys know that. Probably already did, but you know, just in case. And so you just kite around in circles here until you can kill the boss. People will spawn right up here on top of the hill. As long as there's a boss, that's where people are going to spawn. And that's the last random boss trigger. So that's the area here. So just move around in a circle, try to stay alive. Again, staying alive is just so much more important than dealing damage in these situations. And right here is where people will respawn. So if you have aggro on the boss, just try to focus on keeping the boss occupied while your teammates are clearing stuff out. And like this area here, I feel like if you get to this area here, you get to the end of it, okay? Like, and the hardest part is behind you. So like, I don't know why, but I always feel like this area, this whole hill here, is just so easy. Like, there's never any challenge here. There's usually 1, 2, maybe 3 special spawns between here and the bottom. Like, there's a couple of elites here and there. But I always feel like this hill here is just like, yeah, it's a breeze, really. And super easy to just run through fairly quickly. So I'm not going to talk too much about positioning here, because I don't really feel like you ever need to worry about that once you've gotten past. Of course, it's always good to, you know, grill just a little bit before, you know, get a tan. Need some water. There we go. Now, once you get down here, of course, grab some ammo, jump down here, take a healing, heal up, and then, for the love of God, don't do this, what I'm about to do, which is just run all the way up here, and then wait here. Why? Because, you hear that? You just triggered something, right? So the place you wait is you run out, right? And then you stop here, okay? Don't run further than this, okay? Because if you run further than this, you trigger minions, okay? So wait for your team there. And oddly enough, once you start the event here, it is entirely reasonable to rush this part here. Don't stop fighting here. There's nothing for you here. There's no objective here. So once you start the event, just rush all the way up here. And the first thing you want to do is take out that banner. Now, the single most important thing to understand about this end event is you technically don't need to kill stuff. I mean, you kind of do need to kill stuff, but the trigger that activates the endgame explosion, which kills all the minions, is taking out the banners. Which means merely surviving and taking out these banners is all you need to get to the endgame, to win. That's all you need. It's always important to know your win condition, right? And at this end event, your win condition is simply to stay alive and take out the banners. That's it. You don't have to kill the Minotaur. You don't have to. If you can, there's nothing wrong with that, but you don't have to. So if you're struggling, you should focus on nothing but staying alive. Move in a circle like this. Again, try to put animations between the minions and you, and just slowly take out the banners. You don't even need to kill the bannerman, you just need to attack its banner. And you are gonna get a few specialists, but it's not bad, right? I'm gonna show you guys a little clip here. If it looks a little bit wide, it's because I accidentally recorded in the wrong resolution. But this was a team of randoms. We've been playing 2 people, if I recall correctly, for most of the map. So it wasn't until like fairly late that we got a 3rd. And this is just a team of strangers, right? Never met them before. It's quick play. We didn't communicate much. We literally just breezed through the map. Like I swear to God. And it wasn't because I was carrying it. I'll show you the scoreboard afterwards. It wasn't like me just going in and doing a full... No. I was actually just chilling, relaxing, playing with some nice random people. And we just breezed through Dark Omens on Kata without any issues. And I'm not saying that it's going to be like that for everyone, because obviously I most likely had pretty decent teammates, because otherwise we weren't going to breeze through it. But still, my point here being, again, you can see here, you get hit, focus on the survival part, right? But my point is that if you know the map, if you know where to fight, and if you play as a team, the map is not that hard. it feels harder than it is. But as soon as you have decent positioning, it's so much easier. It's so much easier. Because especially when you're fighting beastmen of all like minion types, positioning and having decent position is just everything. It's just every decision making. Just not fighting them at their banners. So as soon as there's a banner, I should have probably mentioned this way earlier, but as soon as a banner is put down, you have to make a call. You have to decide, can I destroy the banner in the next couple of seconds, yes or no? The answer is yes, you do that. The answer is no, you back all the way off until you're outside the effect of the banner. Because fighting minions inside banners is fucking horrible, okay? That's just making it way harder on yourself than necessary. And you can see our Unchained actually left. Because as I mentioned, like we hadn't had an Unchained for most of the game. So okay, when I say a breeze, of course, you could argue that, but you almost died. Yes, I did, but I didn't. And like I can't. I know that sounds like a really cheesy argument, but you know, I'm one of those people. I tend to play fairly risky when I can, but I know when shit hits the fan and I'm like, oh shit, I'm about to die. That's when I go full protective mode, right? Then I focus on nothing but survival as soon as I feel uncomfortable, and so should you, if you want to win at least. Because as I said, 230 ping. Not only, I had actually forgotten that, but that's actually right. Not only did we breeze through it at 6 a.m. It was 6 a.m. in the morning, but I was playing on NA servers with 230 ping, okay? And yet, we were 3 people, I had 230 ping, there was Cataclysm, and yet we breezed through it, okay? So get a decent setup, if you want to beat it, get a decent setup, Witch Hunter Captain, Grail Knight, Battle Wizard, Shade, Handman, those type of heroes. Get a decent setup, worry about your positioning, communicate, and it should be a breeze. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys would like more of these, please let me know. Because I actually once considered making sort of map guides, and I even recall recording on like 3 different maps where I recorded a bunch of stuff, and then later I decided that no, that was gonna be too boring. No one wanted like guides on positioning and like you know I was like, in my mind I was like, nah, that's gonna be too boring. I can't just talk about positioning and like how to go no, that's too boring. I need to come up with something more exciting. So I never actually finished those, and I'm pretty sure I deleted those recordings long ago. But yeah, and which maps do you guys struggle the most with? Like instead of doing them like sequentially, I think I'm gonna start with all the hardest ones. Simply because I don't think I need to make one on all maps, but I will if you guys want me to. So feel free to let me know down in the comments below. Hope you guys learned something, enjoyed the video, and as always, I love you guys. Stay awesome. Peace out.